Hey guys, Tim Portal here. So today's client is in gold and they are coaching and they're hitting resistance in their coaching because players know that they're in gold and don't take them seriously. I'm a little disappointed that Overwatch isn't over that by now. I really expected that they would be. Maybe they are, and you've just had a unique experience. I hope they are. Most games at this point in their life cycle will have figured out that, oh, hey, coaching is a different skill than playing, etc. But if we want to tackle this, I think I'll start by saying being in gold isn't necessarily disqualifying, but I'm not going to sprinkle sparkles on this and say, oh, yeah, you're in gold, you're definitely a great coach, etc. I have no idea if you're a great coach or not. You didn't give me enough information, and honestly, I'd be charging you more if you seriously wanted me to evaluate your coaching skills. But in general, being in gold by itself is not disqualifying. Most people in gold are not capable of effectively coaching high level Overwatch, but most people in general are not capable of coaching high level Overwatch. So, just to give an example of that, though, I'm not just, blowing steam. When I was coming up through Open Division in my coaching career in Overwatch with a very good tier three team. My assistant coach was, I believe he was gold. It's possible he was plat. It's also possible he was silver, but I think he was gold, and he was very useful to me. And I don't just mean like, oh, yay, he was a good yes man, or he was friendly and nice, or anything like that. No, his analysis was actually useful. He was meaningful as a springboard. He could give some pushback in places. He wasn't the level of assistant coach that I got when I worked with other good assistant coaches or other coaches in contenders, though contenders can be a little hit or miss, at least back in the day too. But he was certainly good enough to be assistant coaching on the very good tier three team that he was assistant coaching on. So being gold by itself, not disqualifying. And that should be relatively obvious to us that every coach, almost no matter how good they are, is at some point in their career going to be coaching players that are quite a bit better than them. That's just how it works. The OWL players are better than the OWL coaches at playing the video game. That is how that works. That's how that works in Olympic sports. That's how that works in other esports. That is generally how that works. Getting very good at the game, different skill set than getting very good at coaching the game. For example, I got to coach, just thinking off the top of my head, the best Widowmaker in Australia when I was with Sydney Drop Bears. My Widowmaker is terrible. If I were to play Widowmaker right now, I don't know, plat, gold, silver, but who knows? It doesn't matter. My Widowmaker was never great. My Widowmaker now, after all this rust, would probably be terrible. And did that mean I was terrified of coaching his Widowmaker, or I couldn't coach his Widowmaker? I couldn't provide anything of value to him? Absolutely not. We spent more time on other heroes, Zarya, Sombra, because that's what the meta looked like at the time. Those were more important than Widowmaker. But if you're coaching, you simply have to be able to coach players that are way better than you at the roles, the positions, etc., than what you're doing. Coaching is a different skill. But I want to temper this, and I want to temper this pretty seriously. It is your job as a coach to get to a point as quickly as possible where players aren't asking you for what your SR is or what rank you are or anything along those lines. You want to very quickly get to a point where asking you for your SR when you're coaching is insulting. And I mean insulting in the same sense that, say, asking someone who's been in the business world for 10, 15, 20 years, asking them for their high school GPA. Asking someone who has serious work experience for their high school GPA, their high school transcript, it's insulting. It's just cause, like seriously, it's just cause for someone to go, okay, well, clearly I'm not going to work here. You guys aren't serious. I'm going to walk out of the interview. Yes, even in a recession. Um, so you need to be getting to the point where you have enough coaching experience and enough success in coaching that you're going, are you serious? Like I'm not applying with what my SR is. I'm applying with these 3 previous coaching jobs I've held. This plat team that I took to Masters, this Diamond's team that I took to 3,900, 4,100, whatever. This GM team that I took from getting crushed in scrims to, now they're a team that sort of gets recognized and can get good scrims, etc. So that's what you're doing. It is your job to prove to the world that you provide value as a coach. And as soon as you do that, no one's going to care what your SR is. I still wouldn't recommend sharing it if it is as low as gold. It just makes things harder when you do transition to a new team, or when someone doesn't is giving you a little resistance on something you're teaching them. It's easier for them to disqualify it. So I'd still probably keep your SR hidden if it's that low. If it's not, really, if any coach's SR is not GM, they should have it hidden, not let their players know, etc. And they should be keeping the stance of, yeah, it's insulting to ask. And you can do that in a joking manner. If you're too defensive about it, they're going to dig harder. But you should go, "Oh, okay, well, what's my SR? My SR is I'm good enough to coach this team, or my SR is terrible. I am absolutely terrible. I'm wood tier. You can be a little more funny, a little more deflecting, etc., and then move on to the next topic. And the reason is you don't want them to get caught up on that. You don't want them to be in a place where they are going, oh, hey, I don't have to take this guy seriously, etc., etc. Not because they're mean-spirited, not because they hate you, but just because they're going, hey, I'm not totally sure I buy into this. And you have to, in general, get players to a place where they want to buy into what you're saying. You do still have to explain things well enough, explain why it is, but you don't want to be in a place where they're just going to be dismissive of it. And if you're making too big a change to how they think about the game, you will run into a bit more resistance on there. So no need to tie lead weights to yourself as you're doing that. But yeah, that's pretty much what I have to say on the topic. Being gold in and of itself is in no way necessarily a disqualifier. It doesn't give me a ton of belief that you're going to be good, though, and you shouldn't expect it to give anyone a ton of belief that you're going to be good. You need to prove to the world that you're going to be good. It's going to be hard at this point to find teams that you can use to work your way up through, and I wouldn't suggest staying on those teams for a super long time. I'd make it clear to them that, hey, you're interested in moving up in this world, etc. So even if you're coaching a gold, a plat, or whatever team, and even if they're only scrimming once a week, twice a week, when they can find a scrim, which maybe isn't very often, you want to make it clear that, hey, you're interested in moving up, you're going to help them out, but if you see a better opportunity, you are going to take it, so that there's no bad blood there. You don't need to get more serious about committing to teams until you're talking about, top teams that really have a shot of doing well in open division, and you'll know after a season, or you'll know after you see enough which teams those really are. Many more teams will tell you that, oh yeah, we've got a shot, than actually do. You have to be able to evaluate that yourself after a few scrims. So yeah, prove it to people. And prove it to people with your play, and then probably keep your SR hidden is the way to go. Seriously, it's a headache that's not worth it. Yeah, that's what I've got. If anyone else has questions that they want to ask me, you guys can either throw them down in the YouTube comments and maybe I'll pick them up as a freebie, or you can DM me and I'll quote you a price. Thanks, guys. Temporal out.